Ltstalkabotit-LTA. Let's talk about it. What it do? Today, I want to talk about people that can't be objective. People that don't know how to go against, I guess, what they beliefs is, if you want to call it that, or what their favoritism is. So, for example, let's say you live in Brooklyn and they ask you who's better, Jay-Z or Nas, and you got to pick Jay-Z just because you from Brooklyn. To me, that is that's stupid to me. To each his own, like always, but I don't understand that. Just because your parents was a Democrat, do that mean you got to be a Democrat? Just because your parents was a Republican, do that mean you got to be a Republican? And even if you are whatever party you are, let's say you're a Republican right now and Trump is in office, do you got to agree with everything Trump say or champion everything Trump do because you're a Republican and he's with the Republican Party? You know what I mean? Like, if your homeboy raps and they ask you who's better, your homeboy or dude across town, you can't say dude across town is better if he is actually better? You can't say that? Why not? You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't never want to shit on your people, but at the same time, why can't you keep it real? Now, can you say stuff like, just preference it, preference the situation like, hey, that's my man, so I never want to go against the grain. I will support my dude regardless, blah, blah, blah. But if you're asking me who's the better lyricist, why can't you say, oh boy, the other dude is across town if he's a better lyricist? To me, that type of stuff be weird to me, where anytime people have that favoritism like that, especially when it ain't something that don't even be that damn serious. You see that shit a lot with podcasts. Joe Budden don't never want to talk about Jay-Z or anybody like that. A lot of those podcast dudes do that. The shit's stupid to me, but you should be able, especially when it ain't something that's super real. Like, for example, if you out in the streets and you and your people about to get into it, or your homeboy about to get into it, depending on the situation, you might have to ride right then and there. You probably ain't got time for questions, depending on how all that works out. You probably ain't got time for questions and whatever, so you gotta just do what you do best and then talk about it later. You know what I mean? So it's some circumstances where I get it, but as I even get older, some of those is looking suspect. Some of those situations even like, hold up, maybe you got to take a step back and question some stuff, even in the heat of the moment. As you get older, you start looking at stuff like that. But I do understand and get the concept of, in the heat of the moment, we're going to just ride and figure it out later. But for the most part, you don't have to agree with something just because that's what you're familiar with or whatever. I'm from Cleveland, so I gotta ride with the Cavs if they playing whoever's team they playing and that team is better than them. No, I'm going with whoever I'm more like. Me personally, I'm not even a Players fan. I mean, I'm not even a team fan. I'm a Players fan. So I'm going with who has the most talent, who I enjoy watching the most. You know what I mean? I'm not going with the team just because I'm from that hometown. Do I do that sometimes? Like, I like to always keep it real. I don't never like to say I'm 100% one way in anything. Of course I have done the favoritism things in my lifetime, of course. Like, if you see two boxers, for example, and you don't know nothing about neither one. It's a black cat and a Mexican cat, or a black cat and a white cat, or whatever. If I don't know anything about neither one of the boxers, then yes, I most likely will go with the black boxer if I don't know nothing about neither one. Now, if I know something about the other race dude, black, white, or whatever he is, Asian or whatever, and he's a better fighter, and I enjoy watching his fights more, then I'm going to go with that person, no matter if they're going against my race or not. But if I don't know nothing about neither one, I don't know their credentials, then yeah, I'm gonna go with my race. But you can't do that for everything, because everything just don't make sense. The other person. The other person get down when we talking about rapping or music period, or we're talking about we like, if the credentials of the people, no matter if it's music or whatever boxing example I used already. If you know the get down of the other person, you should be able to make your pick accordingly. It shouldn't matter where you from, or who you where you from, or what race you are, or whatever. The favoritism part should go out the window once you know the credentials of each person. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, that goes with everything. That goes with politics, I should say. That should go with everything. You should have an objective mind. Because if you don't have an objective mind, that's a form of brainwashing, naiveness. That's a form of being naive, and that's a form of being brainwashed to a certain extent. If you just agreeing just to agree, because where you from, or your race, anything of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So tell me what y'all think about that type of stuff. The being objective. And hold on, and before I leave, let me tell you, being objective helps in all types of stuff. That's just when it just comes to life, period. That's a good thing to be is objective, because, for example, if you think you know something, if you think you know everything and you don't know everything, and you're not willing to be objective and listen to ideals or tips or you know what I'm saying, like wisdom from somebody else, if you can't have an objective thinking, you're going to block that type of stuff off, and that'll hurt you in the long run. So you got to think about it like that too. Being objective could help you in a lot of ways in real life situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just once again, that's like kind of being naive when you want to go against being objective. If you got a one-track mind, that could hurt you a lot in decisions that you make in life in general. So think about that. It's always good to have an objective thinking, opinion. Always be open-minded. Even if you don't change your mind, be willing to listen to somebody else's opinion. Even if you don't change your stance. Even if you don't change, because it's not about somebody changing your mind. It's about gaining information and seeing if that information will allow you to change your mind. You see what I'm saying? So that don't mean you have to change your mind. That don't mean that what that other person's saying is right. Because you could be right. But you have to have an open mind enough to even give it a thought, to even look at it. Because if you only going by your thoughts and your opinion only, then you're going to be wrong a lot of times in life. So just being objective overall helps you out in life in general. LTA, let's talk about it.